Good morning and good afternoon and good evening. Welcome to Cosmic Compass. What we're going to do today is we are going to talk about the eclipses and have some personal insights. And then I also have exercises that you can participate in during the eclipse season, which has actually already started. I think it does start before the actual eclipses come. But before we begin, we are going to do our breathing and then we're going to pull some cards. So hopefully, if you're in a position to breathe with me, you can. Understood if that's not possible right now, but if you can join me. It's always optional. And I like to close my eyes because it helps me focus. But as I'm closing my eyes, and I invite you to do the same if you wish, I'm really aware of what's going on around me, the sounds, how I feel, the points of contact, and just really feeling my body. Yeah, and then you can just drop in, drop down, and then we're going to breathe. And we're just going to breathe and expand the belly. And then we're going to exhale. And just noticing what you notice as you breathe and expand the belly. And exhaling. And again, noticing what you notice in your body and the environment as you breathe in, expand your belly, and exhaling through the mouth. And this time, if it feels comfortable, just drop those roots all the way to the core of the earth and breathe up through the feet. Feel the groundedness. Expand your belly. And exhale. And one more time, bringing gratitude and appreciation for the land upon which you are right now, the land of your birth, and all those who have come before on the land and in your lineage. And breathing in up through the soles of the feet. And exhaling when you're ready. And we'll come back, even though we could stay in that place probably for at least a half an hour. At least I could. I'm looking forward to having more time with you in the future where we are doing that. It should be very, very delightful. And just anytime you're feeling the need for more groundedness, which, by the way, during eclipses is super helpful. Just you can do that breathing. And it just took literally 4 minutes to just breathe. And I need to do it during my day, and I'm sure you all are doing it anyway. And you'll notice that with the breathing, the key for me and this type of breathing is the expansion of the belly and then the exhale through the mouth. So, yeah. All right, we're going to pick some cards for our week ahead. The first one is this one. This might be a little more challenging because I have the background. Let's see if I can make this happen. Let's see if I put it closer to my face. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So it's the Three of Cups. And I think yeah, there we go. Three of Cups. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with the tarot, one of the things that I love to do is just make up a story. What is the story in this card for you? That's really where the insights are. This artwork is just so brilliant that it actually does touch into the traditional and evolutionary meanings of the cards. So Three of Cups has a quote unquote meaning, but it also has the insight that it brings to you. And that's really what's most important. So there's our beginning card. And cups are water and they are emotion. So I'll give you that as a hint. And then I'll put in the follow-up, I'll go ahead and put the affirmation that comes with it. But again, your insights are what are most important. We tend to get this card quite often, King of Swords. So as we deepen into our story about this one, what do you see? What do you notice? If you are in this card, where are you? Who are you? And there's a lot going on in this one. So again, just as a little hint, the swords are the mental realm. They're air, thinking, and the king is the most advanced card of this suit in this deck. All right, so yay for that. So far we have two very different cards today. Three of Cups, King of Swords. Like it. Gives us some contrast, I think. And then our last card, and there's no particular order. You can make up your own order with these cards. I don't ask for them to be a particular way. And then our last card is this one, the Five of Cups. So coming back to Cups. And again, they don't have to be in a particular order. Yeah, they just find their way. And again, what do you notice? What's happening here? This card for me, it has some interesting messages that I'm fascinated by. And so we have, I know it's hard to see them, but Three of Cups, King of Swords, Five of Cups. There we go. Yeah, Zoom is fun. So if I were going to look at the week ahead and just give you a little quick thought on this, I'd say gathering, being present with those that you care about in some form, super helpful. Being thoughtful, self-reflective, connecting with all the signs around you, obviously connecting with nature. And this also lends itself to more reflection. And then there's a letting go process as I see it in this card. Again, that's my interpretation. And this is actually where we're going to focus some of our energy today for this eclipse. So, all right, here we begin. There's a lot going on astrologically in addition to the eclipses. And so what I wanted to say is that the first eclipse is on September 7th. I think for everybody, it will be actually on that day, everyone who's gathered here. It is a full moon. It is in Pisces. It's around 14 degrees. For those of you that have more knowledge of astrology and you know where to look in your chart to see where that's landing, I noticed it's right on my Chiron. I noticed a couple of things. It's right on top of my Chiron and it's opposite my Pluto. So I'm aware of the energies of that eclipse. And I wanted to share something about why I choose to talk about astrology the way I choose to talk about it. So I'm looking at that in my own chart and I'm like, okay, that does feel intense. There's an intensity anyway to eclipse energy. There's a full moon, so there's an intensity to the full moon. There's an intensity to it being opposite Pluto, which is our transformative planet, change and transformation and healing. And there's obviously Chiron, our friend, where there's deep energy of healing available as well. So I would be remiss if I didn't really consider that the full moon on Sunday packs a very powerful amount of energy, particularly for me, right? It's already full of literally energy with the eclipse. So one of the things that I did is I read a lot. And so I ordered something, an eclipse report from a trusted source. And when I read it, I thought, oh my God, I would just like crawl into a hole and never come out. This was like, I mean, and this was from a trusted source. And I thought, there is nothing in this report that makes me want to actually stay on the planet for this eclipse in my chart. Nothing. It was so negative and so much, I mean, really scary, honestly. And I thought, well, this is why I don't do astrology this way. Because what would be the point in that? There was nothing in there that was like, oh, hey, in order to work with this energy, maybe try this, this, and this. It was just like, oh. So, yeah, that's not how I operate. So I'm aware of the intensity for everyone. There is just no way around it. You have an eclipse, you have a full moon, it's going to be intense. But intense isn't bad. Intense just means that there's a powerful transmission of energy that's available. It's how I'm going to use it. Now, eclipses do bring unexpected events. That's a great question. You can look it up. Because and in this moment, I don't know what that is. I mean, I could make it up myself, but I would rather, if you don't mind looking it up, that'd be great. Um, there's an energy to this type of um, power-packed healing that when we have an eclipse, it does give us unexpected experiences. That much I do know. And the other thing that I want to take you through today is how to utilize some of that energy and also let go of an outcome. So we can't, that's the thing. You know this, you already know this. We do our very best to express what it is that we desire, we want. We want peace. We want more harmony in our world. There's a lot of really specifics that we all would like to see shift and change. Eclipses can bring shifts and changes, and it doesn't hurt to put out there what it is we want. And it also, we do need to let go. And that's one thing I've learned over the years is that there is in the letting go something that I think is always a part of my evolution is trust. And then underneath that, thank you. Okay, we're gonna, our wonderful, thank you, Nancy. The blood moon is a total lunar eclipse, and they happen once every 2 to 3 years. Um, that's what this is happening. And we can't see it from the northern hemisphere, I don't think, but it is a blood moon. So thank you, thank you, thank you. For those of you in the southern hemisphere, though, this is a blood moon. So as we move into this energy, it's like for me, I'm just aware that I want for us to be able to deepen into trust. What does it mean to trust? What does it really mean for me to trust that the universe has my back or is my support or is there for, all the things that are needed. One thing I will say, given my Chiron and Pluto, I live with Chiron and Pluto opposite each other, as do a number of you actually on this call, because we're all born in a very similar time. Um, Living with that all the time means that when there's a full moon eclipsing with an eclipse on that energy, it is drawing attention to that part of our chart. It is saying, how are you doing with your healing work? I mean, that is how are you doing with your own individual healing? How are you doing with healing work in general? And actually, between the two eclipses, that's really what we're working on is healing. One of the things that we absolutely know for certain with this first one, particularly with Saturn going back into Pisces, just for a very short period of time, is that our spiritual practices are front and center. So, what am I doing to support this trust, this opening, this willingness to believe that the universe has my back or that I can lean back. I can lean back and be held. So the other day, I was just, reflecting on all the things that are going on around us individually and collectively. And I felt the heaviness and I felt the, I don't know what to do. How can I help? How can I be present? What is mine to do? Right? That question. And I pulled a card because, at a certain point, I could use a little extra guidance. And it was from a deck that I don't normally use, but it's always the same message. It doesn't matter. You could pick them from 20 different decks and it's going to come back the same message. It said our favorite word, surrender. It's our favorite word, right? Favorite word. Surrender. Lean back into the arms of the Great Mother. I thought, oh, yeah, it's that same message again. So, where in me am I resisting that and why? Right? So, the chironic, and again, this is just really about my chart, but I think you can also look in your own, you can look and see if this fits for you too. But chironic wounding talks a lot about um, where we're not feeling the trust, where where we've been hurt, right? And so where the healing wants to happen is that's the energy that we're working with between these two eclipses. So for me, obviously, how can I lean back? How can I surrender? How can I trust? And what does that feel like in my body? What does that look like? Um, you know, you got it, right? There's the message and it's there for everyone in some form. How can I trust? So thanks so much. See, it's perfect. Like it's there for you right now. It's like right front and center. I love it. So that's a big part of working with the cosmos is believing that. And again, there's belief system. So if it's not your belief system, that's okay too. But it is my belief system that um, they're here, that the universe, the cosmos is working on my behalf. I have to have that belief system. Otherwise, Hmm. So for me, it works. If it's not quite your belief system, that's okay. If take what you want, leave the rest. That's always been my policy for myself and for anyone else. Okay. So now let's get into the actual exercises that I want to talk about um, for this upcoming um, 2 weeks, starting on the 7th. All right. So I want to give credit to one of my astrology mentors, Dana Gerhardt, for sharing this. I've made some changes that I feel are supportive that go with this general exercise. Okay. All right. You might be surprised by this. So there's going to be two columns. There's going to be a left column and a right column. In the left column, let me just make sure I got this right. Yeah, in the left column before Sunday. Okay, so in the left column before Sunday, and some of you have done this before with me, so this won't be surprising. You're going to write what are called I can't statements. I can't statements. They are fears, they are doubts, they are blocks, they are beliefs that are limited. And, I was thinking about the phrase limiting beliefs, and I thought, oh, I could get really philosophical about this and ask, is that if you have a belief, is it already limited? Because you've already organized yourself around something that is limitless. But anyway, the limits that we hold ourselves under, whether they are ours that we have chosen or they might be those that were chosen for us. And there might even be some that we would never choose, but we that are forced upon us. And those limits or blocks or obstacles are I can'ts, places where we cannot go forward, or places where we feel scared. And for me, when I think about this idea of surrender, I'm thinking like, where am I going to go to the very root of this experience? Um, do I have an I can't statement anymore? Like, I can't believe that I'm supported. I don't have that belief anymore. So I was like, I, the statement I was coming up with today was, I can't be supported all the time. So there's a limited. belief right there. It's not possible to be supported 100% of the time, or it's not right to have all the abundance and whatever I want when others are suffering. These are very Piscean thoughts, particularly with Chiron in Pisces. And with a full moon in Pisces, these are the kinds of things that might surface. It really, you can have as long a list as you want. It's harder for me to do this list now because I'm used to saying, how is it that? So we'll get to that in a minute. But where am I struggling? Where am I struggling? Um, I mean, I could get very eighth house on you right now and say something along the lines of, um, I fear. So you could say instead of I can't, you could put I fear that my body won't keep up with me for the next until I die or something. I mean, I could get really dark in there, but those are real fears, right? And it's good to take a moment to put them in the left column. All right. So your left column are things you don't really want to admit you feel. That's okay. And you have all week. You have all week. Yay, to come up with some of those statements. Okay. So fears, doubts, blocks, things that hurt. You can I remember the last time I did this, I wrote, I'll never own a home. That was like a really intense belief. Okay. And I wrote it and I um I stood by that belief. Like I'll never own a home. And I don't believe that anymore. I still don't own a home, but I can't, with all honesty, write that belief anymore. And that's a shift, my friends. That's a shift. I have owned homes, so it's not even true. But I'll never own a home again. We would need to put that there. But it's not true. I can't get behind that statement anymore. And when I did this in 2022, this was the last time I put forth this exercise. Or maybe it was 2023, I can't remember now, but a couple of years ago, I could totally get behind that statement. So what's changed? Trust. And maybe not even the need to have that anymore. I'm not sure, but it's not my statement now. I have other things that come there. So you find the ones that make that, and you can have as many as you want. You just go ahead and you put them in there. Okay. Okay. After you write these down, and I love what Dana says, so I'm going to read her wording on this. These are statements and this is very Dana language, statements and declarations that rumble about in your mind during the day and haunt your sleepless nights. Dana's a great writer. And the last time I did this with Jenna, and she's also a great writer. Um, she she wrote something up for us at the time, and equally equally as succinct and rich in language. So I'm appreciating that. Okay, so after writing these, you can refine them. Like I was saying, like for me, if I keep going deeper, there's an element of trust that everything relates back to. Everything relates back to trust for me. And that may not be your situation, but it's a good thing to just kind of see how deep you can go. Keep digging. Um, and then after you've done that list on the left side, it's really important to give yourself an energetic hug. It's like, it's okay. You're gonna be okay. Because this is work and you're digging up a lot that is at the root of healing energy. But again, with Pisces and then the ultimate next eclipse in Virgo, the second one, not the second new moon in Virgo and the second eclipse. There's so much healing energy that's moving through us. So we really want to be able to do this work. Um, but give yourself a hug. Okay. And then remember that even in the act of writing it down, even in the act of um, giving yourself this opportunity, you are already healing. So writing them down doesn't make them more true. Writing them down releases them out of the inner rumblings of your mind and the sleepless nights, right? It opens up the energy flow. It's the things that we don't want to, you don't want to admit that. That's where our energy flow shuts down. And so what we want is to keep this flow open. Okay. All right. Then put it aside. Move through the full moon on Sunday. And after, so next Monday, so a week from now, you're going to write antidote statements for each and every one of those. Okay. So if I use the I'll never own a home again statement, which is again, this is something I did before, but it's an easy one for me to, kind of utilize because I've done it. My favorite, how is it that, and then the affirmation. How is it that I am living with ease in my beautiful home? How is it that I am living with ease in my beautiful home? Okay. So let's just say I haven't refined this yet, but let's just say I'm using a statement of I'm afraid my body won't keep up with me for the next 30, 40 years. It's a real fear. Okay. I might refine that a little more, but then once I do, I might be like, how is it that I'm living with ease in my healthy body? How is it that I am living with ease in my healthy body, with my healthy mind and my healthy heart and my healthy spirit? So again, not forcing something that doesn't feel true in the affirmative, but giving yourself just a bit of a stretch. Okay. So making that antidote something very powerful that does fit with the left column. Okay. So I know we can talk about this next week also, but I wanted to give you the full exercise now so you know what we're doing. So then on Monday, after next week, after the full moon, you've written your antidote statements and you're going to cut the paper in half. Okay. So you're going to cut them in half and you're going to cut each of your statements into little strips. And during the eclipse window, you might as well do it Monday. You could do it Tuesday, but you have 2 weeks, but why not do it right away? You take each of those little strips of I can't or I'm afraid and you rip them up. Or if you are comfortable with fire and you have a very nice little cauldron, you burn them. Okay? Either way, you are getting rid of those statements. Oh, did you see that? Oh my God. Okay, but you get my point, apparently. Zoom gets my point too. Wow, that was pretty cool. You're going to rip those up and release them one by one. And you're going to honor all the feelings. I know, super. Yeah. You're going to honor all the feelings. And you're going to love yourself that much more for really going deep and admitting these things and then releasing them. Okay. You're going to release them. So here's the thing. Releasing them is a process. You've got to give yourself the grace and time to do this process because I don't know about you, but I could probably fill an entire page with these statements, and it's a lot. So give yourself time, maybe do a couple a day. Actually, I kind of feel like just do it all at once, but do whatever works for you. And really fill up with gratitude for yourself for being willing to release these, because that's ultimately the thing. We could go into a deeper process and say, well, how does it serve me to hold on to this belief? How does it serve me to hold on to this fear? Sure, you could go there if you want to, totally into it. Or you could just rip them up or burn them for now. Okay. You can always come back to that if you want to, but I'm all for the letting go process of the eclipse. Let's just see what happens. It's an experiment. It's something, it's magic, right? It's like, how can we play in the fields of magic? Good question. You're just cutting the strips of the left column for now. Okay, it's a great question. So you're just cutting the strips in the left column for now. Okay, very excellent question. Then you keep your right column, all right, with your antidote statements or your affirmations. You keep that and you can put it on your altar, under your pillow, somewhere safe, sacred. Put it outside under your special tree, under a special rock, as long as it won't go away yet. We don't need it to go away yet. Somewhere safe. Okay. And then we're on the new moon, the second new moon in Virgo, on the 21st of September, which has a partial solar eclipse, which we won't see up here in the Northern Hemisphere, but energetically we have that energy with us. That was redundant, but you get my point. On the actual new moon, so on the 21st, you're going to read each of those statements out loud. You can cut them into strips if you want to, but I just keep them in the column because then I won't lose any of them. And you just read them one at a time, slowly, just honoring each statement. And if you find one that's sticky or there's a little hitch, just come back to it. It's fine. You can work with this all day long on the 21st. You can do it just at one time. I find if I'm not 100% behind the how is it that statement, I can come back to it later in the day. Okay. So this, I found what kind of inspired this is I found my list from 2022 or 2023, whenever this was, of affirmations. And each and every single one of them had come to pass. Okay. Now, caveat, they came to pass. They weren't all for my highest and best. Now, in some divine, sure. Were they for my highest and best? Absolutely. I have to surrender to that and trust that. Did I enjoy every single one of those? No. So, what I'd like to add to what I've not done in the past is at the end of reading your affirmative statements, this or something better, this or something better, in the highest and best way, with grace and ease and joy and pleasure and fun, because we all need a little more fun. Trust me, we all need a little more fun. So, but in all seriousness, this or something better, this or something better in the highest and best way. And truthfully, when I look back at that list, some of those things, yeah, I definitely wanted them. They were definitely important, but they came about in ways that were uncomfortable. I'll be honest. Okay. I'm where I am now because I moved through all of that and I don't regret being where I am now a couple years later. So I like the idea of saying grace and ease, highest and best, joy and pleasure and fun. Just add it all in. Just go for it. It's like okay, this is a very Taurian analogy. You want the healthiest cake possible, but you still want chocolate and you still want frosting because I don't want cake without frosting. It's just not cake to me without frosting, even though cake is cake, right? But I'm going to make the healthiest, best possible recipe I can find. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I want my cake and eat it too. So I want it to be the best possible way to do this. So I have not done my list yet. We can jump on. I don't think I have a guest. I might have a guest next week. I'll have to look. But if I don't, we'll do a little bit more during Cosmic Compass on this. But this idea of really tuning in, our first step this week is to tune into the fears and the doubts and the blocks and the obstacles. After that, we have 2 weeks to really write those affirmative statements. Okay. The how is it that I am statements. This is stretchy, but this is utilizing the magic of the eclipses in a way that is real and not telling you your life is going to explode and there's nothing you can do about it. There might be times where things are challenging. I have no doubt about that. But why not do something really proactive? Why not move with the energy, dance with the energy, be with the energy? That feels better for me. So that's my plan. And I wanted to invite you along on that journey this time. So I'm going to check out here. Yeah, thank you, Nancy, for putting that in the chat. With grace, ease, highest and best, joy and fun, joy and pleasure, all of it. There's this week, as we move with Saturn back into Pisces, this will give us the support we need to really deepen into what's underneath. For some people, it's a very collective energy. I'm afraid I won't see peace in my lifetime. That's a real fear for some people. Go ahead and write that down. Even if it's collective, even if it's not just, it's still your fear or your doubt or whatever's coming up for you. Let yourself go to the places you need to go. We're being well supported in doing that. And again, the point is with Pisces and Virgo energy. So the first eclipse, full moon Pisces, second is the second new moon in Virgo at 29 degrees. So it's got massive amounts of energy. Really, if you're going to have two new moons or two full moons in a cycle, one's going to be at 0 degrees and one's going to be at 29 degrees. That's how it's always going to work. So they're super extra powerful at those degrees. But that idea of the Virgo, honoring the earth, honoring healing, honoring the essence of who we are, and honoring with respect the journey that we're on. The Pisces energy is honoring compassion and honoring the vision and honoring the dreams and honoring what's possible and really believing that it is possible. Probably not a little known fact. I love Star Trek. From a young age, okay, I'm just going to say it. I had the Star Trek Cadet Academy workbook by the time I was 10 years old. Okay. I passed. I did all the exercises. I became a cadet based on that when I was 10. Okay. So my whole life, I've been looking for what is better than this. Now, there is a practice of really seeing what is good right now that is really vital, right? You got to be in the now and stay with the now and be present. But I have always looked to what can be better, right? How can this be better? Science fiction, okay, not necessarily the science fiction that's tearing the world apart, which, that's real and true. But the science fiction that looks at how we evolved and move, and yes, science fiction always includes some disaster because they're just how it works. But how we've evolved and how we've created things that are better. That I feel like is the energy we can work with Pisces and Virgo because okay, sorry. Just thinking about the bionic man now. We have the technology. We have we actually do now. Okay. I want you to think about this. Back then, for those of you that are old enough to remember this, the bionic man seemed like impossible, but it wasn't. I mean, obviously, there were people out there already experimenting with that. But in our lifetime, that is like, what is that? That's just a bionic whatever. No biggie. Um, and now, if we look at where we are, what is better? What is for our highest and best? And, there's a lot of thoughts on that. So I'm not going to go down that road, but this is our time. Pisces and Virgo gives us this opportunity. And I'm grateful, right? Eclipses, the moon has its own cycle, right? And orbit. And so these eclipses come in different signs and they have a 19-year cycle. So another thing, if you really want to do it, because why not? You could look back at what was happening in your life 19 years ago. So what year is this? 2025. So 19 years ago would have been 2016, right? Am I right? Did I do the math? Yes. That was a pivotal year for me. I don't know about you, but that was a pivotal year, huge year. So okay. I could look back and see what healing was happening, 2006. Thank you. See, thank you, Cynthia. Math, do not do math when you're trying to be on YouTube, right? Do not do math in public. Just don't. It's just not worth it. 2006. Okay, still a pivotal year for me. Not as pivotal, maybe as 2016. Um, so that, thank you. That was very sweet. So yeah, sorry. Although it was nice, you could reflect back on 2016, which was 9 years ago if you want to. But yes, 2006. Thank you. So let's go back. 2006, pivotal year. There's a lot, and there's actually a lot that was happening in our world at that time too. Um, but again, just some reflection on that might be helpful. Any reflection during retrogrades is helpful, by the way. And we're going through a lot of retrogrades right now. So give yourself the time to journal, to reflect, and do it with an open heart, one filled with gratitude and appreciation for who you are on this planet. Well, see, 2006 was a pivotal year for a lot of people. So give yourself appreciation for all that you've done, all that you've been through, all that you've experienced, right? In our culture, we have a lot of emphasis on accomplishment, which I don't have a problem with, as long as we look at everything as accomplishment, meaning our evolution as accomplishment, right? I'm more about what are our experiences and how do we bring compassion and love and gratitude and appreciation to our experiences. A lot happens in 19 years or 9 years, depending on how you do math. A lot happens in these cycles. So as a reminder about Saturn, Saturn won't be back in Pisces again for 29 more years. Okay, so maybe Saturn has some things to share with us about what are our practices? What are the structures that we're bringing to our spiritual selves? How can I be more compassionate in a way that is consistent? That's another way to look at that. How can I be more compassionate with myself? How can I be more compassionate with others? Um, how can I create more sacred? That's the Pisces. Sacred containers. That's the Saturn. Sacred containers for healing. How can I create more sacred containers for healing in my life? How can I do it for others? That's the service orientation. And again, Saturn and Pisces, we've had this for roughly 2.5, almost 3 years now. So we've had a lot of discussions in the past about Saturn and Pisces, but it does feel a little wistful to me, Saturn and Pisces, for the last time until 29 years from now. So how do I want to utilize that beautiful Saturn energy of structure, discipline, connection to bringing things into form and making them real? How do I want to do that in a way that honors the depth of divine energy, compassion, visions, dreams? There are other alternative ways to look at this. There's shadow sides to everything. We see it every single day. So you could, if you just want to quickly look at the shadow, Saturn would be controlling or control or power over, or scrunching things down, or, compressing, constricting. And Pisces would be illusion, delusion, not being grounded, right? Drug use, numbing out. The Pisces shadow, indecision, excess fear, all of that, right? Those are all the shadows. We see so much of that already that I think as long as we acknowledge it and notice it in ourselves, I think that's part of the thing that we want to do this week anyway, is look at where are we not at our best, right? What's holding me back from being at my best? So the shadows are real. We don't ignore them. And certainly that report I ordered did not ignore them. But what I would like to do is really work with them. So how do I take this visionary compassion, love, energy and bring it into form? I have to start with myself first and then move out from there. How do I believe that I am worthy? Okay, so there's a Piscean energy for you there. How can I work with worthiness and really truly understand that the form, the Saturnian form I'm in, this form, this being, deserves the best, to be healthy, to be alive, to be moving well with vitality and energy. How do I really drop into that? Right? Those are the questions. And I think for me, Chiron and Pisces, which a lot of us have in our natal charts, we often are like, but how is it fair that I have this and others don't? Right? There's a element of comparison, and it's a real thing to look at, because this is a bigger question. Because the bigger question is how can all of us live well? How can all of us be well? That's the bigger question. And I've spent a lifetime denying myself things because it hurt too much to see other people suffering and receiving something really good in my life while others were suffering. And it doesn't really help. I'm just saying, after 60 plus years, I'm just saying it doesn't actually make a difference. What makes a difference is when we are at our best. That's what makes the difference. When we are healthy, when we are at our best, when we can love deeply and feel worthy of divine support, energy, whatever that is, and not have an expectation of what it looks like, is also very true. Okay, well, I'm seeing all these messages. All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I love that too. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. So, energy. How can I live in this beautiful, flowing, vital, loving, divine, compassionate, gratitude, appreciation, energy, kindness, which also came up in the chat, which I was really appreciating. How can I live with ease? And then I'm going to just quote what Nancy wrote here, while recognizing emotions as I work to accomplish what I feel to be unsurmountable. Really good. What does that mean? And how can we move with that? How can we dance with that? And sometimes the world's problems feel insurmountable. They really do. I mean, that's fair. Like, how can I, as one being, make a difference? So I will remind you all, and this, again, a lot of this comes from my own cultural upbringing. But when I was growing up, Helen Keller was always, we looked at Helen Keller as a source of inspiration and motivation. And she said, it just starts with one person. You become the best you that you can become, and then you go from there. And I have to say that's true because, again, a lot of this is, a lifetime of recognizing that sometimes it's been easier to look outside myself. How can I help out there? How can I help out there? How can I help out there? But in fact, the work needs to be here first. And then how can I offer something into the world from that place? So Saturn Pisces, lots of really good yumminess there. A lot of wisdom wants to come through. And you are the vehicle of that wisdom. Okay. This is your time, right? And for those that are, there are so many, many beings, not just humans, but many beings suffering right now. So how can we become part of a flow of energy that supports the greater well-being of all? That's a great affirmation to put in there on the right-hand column somewhere. How is it that I am a source of positive, compassionate energy that supports the greater well-being of all other beings? I mean, you could find a better way to say it. That's not very refined, but that energy is there for you and for us, all of us. Okay, so I've given you a lot of homework. This is not one of your light cosmic compass conversations, by the way. I do have guests. Don't worry, they'll come back maybe. No, I have guests coming later in the month, which I think you'll find very interesting. But with all of this intense astrology, I think it's important for us to gather and really deepen together. That's a very, well, there's also, we can look at Pluto and Aquarius. There's so much we can look at right now, right? There's so much. So again, simple, but very powerful lists. I mean, if you really wanted to get creative, you could do vision boards too, but I'm just staying with the lists right now. But vision boards are also helpful at this time. So, all right. Now I need to go. So I have to call this to a close. But before I do, I just want to say thank you so much. And I really want to say thank you for all of your insights and thoughts in the chat today, for the collective support that's coming from everyone here. I'm really grateful that you're here. And of course, please send me an email. Let me know how you're doing. If you have any questions, let me know. And I will do my best to create maybe a little example columns that I can put in the follow-up email. But I think hopefully I think y'all got it. I'm pretty sure y'all got it. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.